Philippians 4, 6, and 7 is a pretty familiar verse to most of us. A lot of us have memorized it, even committed to it as a life verse. Sometimes those verses tend to get a little bit too familiar, and we kind of gloss over them. I'm definitely guilty of this. One of the things that I like to do when I really want to meditate on a verse is look at different versions of the Bible. Listen to what this verse says in the Message. Don't fret or worry. Instead of worrying, pray. Let petitions and praises shape your worries into prayers, letting God know your concerns. Before you know it, a sense of God's wholeness, everything coming together for good, will come and settle you down. It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the center of your life. Confession. In many of the Read and Reflect videos that I've done, I'm speaking mostly to myself. The things that I share with you are things that I need to improve on in my own life. This portion of Scripture is no different. I've often spoken about anxiety and worry and how they have no place in our lives. We're circling back again. This is one of the things that I need to be reminded of over and over. In more than one conversation lately, God has reminded me that while I may be good at giving things over to Him, I struggle to leave them there. My tendency is to give Him my worries, but then immediately take them right back. I love that the Message version of Philippians 4, 6, and 7 addresses this so clearly. Instead of worrying, pray. Let petitions and praises shape your worries into prayers. How incredible is it that we can have conversations with the Creator of all things, the one who knows our future and is already there. Before you know it, a sense of God's wholeness will come and settle you down. The term settle down reminds me of a parent soothing a young child who may be overwhelmed and unable to handle their emotions. Isn't it the same for us? God is working to soothe us and remind us to trust in Him. It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the center of your life. Jim Elliff said it this way: future worry is overwhelming. There is a reason. We don't have grace today for tomorrow. One of Satan's simplest tricks and most effective devices is to draw our attention to things we can do nothing about. There's nothing worse than a crisis that can't be fixed. If our hours are spent with thoughts of tomorrow's problems, which are not accessible today, and which we know we cannot touch with today's resources, we are doomed to worry. And worry wears us out. Yet our calling is today. It's not that we don't think of tomorrow, but it must consistently be filed under future grace. The tide of confidence in God's sufficiency must wash out worry. I wanted to draw your attention back to one specific point in that quote. We don't have grace today for tomorrow. Tomorrow's worry must be filed under future grace. Time and time again, God has proven that He will give to those exactly what they need that day. Remember in Exodus, God's people were provided manna, enough to serve all their needs for that day. When Jesus taught His disciples to pray, He taught them to pray, "Give us this day our daily bread." Not tomorrow's bread, not next week's bread. God promises to give us exactly what we need for that day. I want to leave you with this final blessing from Paul to the people of Philippians who have been his support system and friends. From Philippians 4:23, receive and experience the amazing grace of the Master, Jesus Christ, deep, deep within yourselves.